Dutch, get out of the neighbor's yard, bud. Come here. Dutch wants to show us the backyard, so let's
All right,
check that out.
let's go.
Come on, bud. Go on in. So this food forest honestly had a pretty rough start. Last year when we wanted to start this food forest, we already laid down most of the mulch, but we went to Pete and we bought a bunch of plants to insert. And before we put them in the ground, we actually took a trip to Europe and somebody was supposed to come and water them. And they did it, and they ended up all being like half dead when we got home. Some of them died, most of them made it, so they had a rough start at first. And then about 2 months later, that big Hurricane Irma, I believe the name was, Hurricane Irma came and gave the garden just a bit of a beating, but everything survived. And then at the beginning of the year, we had an actual frost, which is super rare for this area, that killed a couple of the plants as well. So it didn't have the best start, but it's all coming together pretty good and things are still growing on a consistent basis. We also have 2 dogs, which make it pretty hard to plant new plants because, like I said, there's lizards that live in the plants and my dogs are always chasing lizards. So plants get the occasional tackle sometimes for no reason at all. Our only canopy tree in the whole yard is this big, beautiful oak tree. It's super cool because it gives shade to this area and it also has nutrients and it's kind of the mother of the whole food forest. And like I said, from the mycelium and the fungi network and having an oak tree, they're always using to work together to all become stronger from what I understand with this. If you know more about the mycelium and fungi network, again, I'm just learning, so leave some information in the comments below. Another plant that I'm super excited about, it's one of my favorite plants at the place, is this one here. And it's just a vine that is going to vine all the way up this oak tree and eventually all the way through this fence. And it's called a purple possum passion fruit. And it gives off the coolest, trippiest looking purple flowers. And on top of this purple possum passion fruit that is absolutely delicious. And it's supposed to fruit a few times a year and like 2,000 fruit each time. So I can't wait for this to grow up and start giving us some fruit. And it's actually going to give my neighbors some fruit. Both my neighbors, which I'm super all for that. And I'm excited about that too. This is a katuk plant, and it's a perennial vegetable, and these leaves are just super medicinal, filled with a bunch sort of different nutrients as well. These right here, I actually just planted that I got from Pete's house, and it's just Mexican sunflower, and it works similar to bamboo. So we just cut off a piece from Pete's house, and we put it right into the ground, and it's just gonna grow like a big bushy tree from what I understand, and eventually it's gonna fence all of this out so I can't see so much of my neighbors, which is gonna be pretty cool. This is just a huge sea of more and more sweet potatoes. We planted kind of sweet potatoes randomly throughout the whole entire property. We have 2 starfruit trees right here, and there's another starfruit tree right here that were both about this big, but somebody tackled them and somebody started chewing on them. So luckily we put them back in the ground and they resprouted. But for some reason at first he wasn't a fan of the starfruit trees that we had to, the starfruit trees had to warm up to Dutch. And a couple of plants in here are actually just some ornamentals that my friend Frank, his mom, owns a nursery, and she gave us just some free ornamentals. I don't know the names of the ornamentals, so again, if you do, just leave it in the comments below. These are the bananas. I'm super excited about these. A lot of people don't know there's actually like hundreds of different varieties of bananas, and these are 3 different varieties. There's ice cream bananas, apple bananas, and then another strain of bananas that was Pete's favorite flavor. So again, Pete, if you're watching this, remind me what the 3rd flavor of banana was. But there's actually an ice cream banana, bananas that taste like ice cream. And there's also an apple banana, which is a banana that pretty much tastes like an apple, which is super cool. And you can see we just bought 3 bananas here, and they're giving out a bunch new pups that we can just separate and then put them all over the yard, which is pretty beneficial because we're just starting this food forest, and it saves a lot of money. We're not having to buy new bananas all the time because it gives us free bananas all the time. And this is just another sea of sweet potatoes that's all going to go through. This is a jackfruit tree. Very interesting tree. We actually have another one over there, and this gives out a fruit that's bigger than a basketball. Sometimes they're like 40, 50, 60 pounds, and they actually taste like juicy fruit. And supposedly it's what juicy fruit got their flavor from is the jackfruit. And it's a huge fruit about this big. I've heard talks they're actually going to be using this to help fight world hunger. And a lot of vegans use it as a meat replacement, because if you shred it up and put some barbecue sauce on it, it's supposed to taste just like pulled pork, which is pretty cool. It tastes like pulled pork all the way from juicy fruit, just from one fruit. And these are just some more beans that we planted around to just help put that nitrogen back into the soil. And come on over here. This tree here is another tree I'm super excited about. It's very, very small. I can't wait for it to grow up. It's hard to pronounce, like a Jaboticaba. Pretty sure it's pronounced Jaboticaba, and it's a Brazilian tree grape. So the grapes actually grow off the wood part of the tree, which are pretty cool, and they're really good, and supposed to make really good wine as well. Yeah, we got sweet potatoes all over, and if you dig down in here, we actually have some oregano growing and some African mint potatoes in here as well. So again, these are just used as ground covers and to help turn that mulch, turn that soil, and then on top just build a ground cover. And this right here is something lemon, like a lemon thyme, and it smells really good. It smells like lemon, and it helps repel mosquitoes, which in Florida are awful, so we're all for anything that's going to repel a mosquito. This is another tree I'm super excited about just because how cool it looks. It looks like a nice ornamental tree, but it's a loquat, and they give off really delicious fruits. I'm not sure if you ever heard of a loquat, but there's a bunch of different strains on these as well. And here's a little fire bush beside it. And another sea of more sweet potatoes. And here's that pineapple I told you that it really likes to spread out and take up a lot of space. And for 2 years, just for one pineapple, we would rather plant something just a little bit more productive. And this is the Barbados cherry. I showed you the little tiny Barbados cherry out front. And yeah, it's growing pretty good. And there's flowers actually all in it. You can see the flowers in there. But there's these little tiny pink flowers, and like I said, all we got to do is have those pollinators come in, pollinate those flowers, and then we're going to get some awesome cherries. This is another jackfruit tree. We had a frost, I believe it was this January or February, which is actually pretty rare in Florida. We don't ever get frost. And the tree actually, we thought it completely died. We ended up leaving the stalk in there, and it regrew a bunch of branches. So yeah, here's another jackfruit tree. This is a spiraling ginger. I believe it, Pete, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it gives off like a really tasty flower. Me and Jeremy were at Pete's house, and we were trying all sorts of different type of stuff, and we were buying all sorts of different types of stuff, so I'm not pretty sure it was a flower that looks really cool and tastes delicious. This is a moringa tree that I actually put these leaves in my smoothies every single day, and it's called a miracle tree because supposedly it has like more calcium than milk, more protein than eggs, more iron than spinach. It's supposed to be the most pound for pound nutritious plant on the earth, or tree on the earth, and it's called moringa. And you can see it's actually giving out seeds too, which is pretty cool. These are seed pods, and I'm going to have a lot more moringa trees, I guess, huh? And come on over yonder. So we got the moringa tree, we got the cherry, we got the pineapple, and this tree is definitely one of our favorite trees on the whole farm, and it was actually a rescue. It was the oldest tree that we ever purchased because we were on a budget, so we were buying plants as young as possible. But this was old. It was just in a pot for a couple years, wasn't really taken care of that well, and it was looking pretty dead. So we got it at like half off. We ended up buying it, and as soon as we put it into this mulch and it took care of that soil, it just really took off, and it actually gave 2 of the best nectarines I've ever had in my life the first year, which I'm super excited about. So this is the noni plant, and it's a really crazy looking fruit that is supposed to be super powerful and super medicinal, as like people are helping use it to help cure cancer and a lot of other autoimmune disease. If you know more about noni, put it in the comment box below. But it's a super cool fruit that I heard it smells kind of funky, but super medicinal, gives off a lot of beneficial properties as well. And this is actually just a mini orange tree that you can see it's starting to give off little oranges already. But this is a little mini orange tree. And then if we turn around here, this cactus that goes up to this pine tree is called dragon fruit. Again, this is another one. If you've never seen dragon fruit, I highly suggest Googling it because it's a really crazy, cool looking fruit, and they're delicious. And all you gotta do to have more, if I were to cut this and plant it back in the ground, it's just gonna regrow more dragon fruit. And this right here is actually another one of those purple possum passion fruits. So one of the biggest challenges about growing a permaculture food forest, or really growing anything in Florida, is the soil. There's really not that much good soil in Florida because it's mainly just sand. That's why this mulch is so beneficial, because it not only just constantly feeds the plants, but it breaks down into the best dirt you could possibly get, just pure black gold. If you check this out, all I gotta do is, when I first started, I had nothing but sand here. Now all I gotta do is dig in, and you see how easy and soft that is to dig your shovel in. So that's good for the roots, because when it's hard packed soil, the roots have a harder time spreading to find the nutrients. So you want a nice soft soil like that. And also, if you look, it's pretty good. You know, we started with nothing but sand, and we're getting some pretty good dirt, and it's alive. It's alive and extremely nutritious. So if you do any gardening, or if you really do anything outside, make sure you think about checking out the app My Radar. It's a completely free app that all you gotta do is click on it, and it tells you the instant radar of wherever you're at, so you don't get caught in any rain, sleet, snow. I just want to thank you guys so much for checking out our permaculture project. And like I said, this is all just a learning process for us. So if you have any tips, recommendations, or any information you feel like will help us, please leave those in the comment box below, because we're all just here trying to learn. And also, if there's any plants or anything specific that you want us to go further in detail, just leave that in the comment box below, because we plan on making more and more videos on our permaculture project, especially as it progresses and grows even bigger, healthier, and stronger. Also, we're having new updates on my website as well, so check that out at www.thewillgrant.com.